Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 2023 College Football Playoff Selection Show. Oh, what a season it has been. We have 4 spots and 6 teams in contention for them. So who's in? That's the question. Let's meet the teams. This first team here, a lot of the experts are saying is a for sure lock. They are the North Carolina Tar Heels, finishing the season undefeated with an ACC championship. Sam Howell and Mac Brown made a very strong case to secure that #1 spot. We do believe that they did enough to make the playoffs, but will it be that #1 spot? We'll have to see. Sam Howell absolutely destroyed the Clemson Tigers in the ACC championship game. The only knock is sometimes you will see him hang on to the ball just a little too long. However, North Carolina has had a great season, so we'll have to see where the committee puts them at once we get the rankings. Now, the next team that is also in contention are the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think everybody in the country knows the firepower that they have on both sides of the ball, with Bryce Young and Mechie and Williams on defense. However, their knock this year is they finished 11-1 with their only loss to a top-ranked Oklahoma team on the road. Alabama also did not get the opportunity to play in their SEC championship game, and many other teams had the ability to make a statement. Alabama was sitting at home. And next up, we have the Big Ten champions, the Maryland Terrapins, who finished their season going 11-2. Their 2 losses being both on the road. They have wins over Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Michigan. They are led by Tulia Tagovailoa, Tua's younger brother. And at the wide receiver position, they also have Raheem Jarrett, who is the nation's #1 receiver coming out of high school a couple years ago, and their running back is a stud. There is talent on both sides of the ball with this Maryland team. They definitely made a statement later in the season by beating Michigan and putting up over 60 points in the Big Ten championship game. I can't wait to see what they do with Maryland. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Pac-12 champions, the Arizona State Sun Devils, led by one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, Jaden Daniels, who I believe in real life he just transferred to LSU. But besides the point, they also finished the season 11-2 with 2 very close losses on the road, one of them being out of conference. Jaden Daniels put up over 2,500 passing yards this season, throwing for 23 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. They also blew out their opponent Stanford in the Pac-12 championship game. They definitely have a case in making this year's playoff. And the last 2 teams that are in the conversation are going to be Clemson and Oklahoma. Clemson went all season undefeated in the ACC until they had to play North Carolina in the title game. However, they got absolutely obliterated by North Carolina, and it wasn't even close. And I know the committee is putting more emphasis on not allowing teams in to get blown out in their conference title games. However, their argument is, hey, that was their one and only loss. So it'll be interesting to see where they have them ranked. And obviously, Oklahoma, when you look at the whole body of work, only losing 1 game on the road at Penn State, beating Alabama, winning an SEC title, that should be a lock. It's all about seeding at this point. There can be arguments made all day, all night for many of these teams to make the playoffs. And now is the time to find out who's in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We are going to go 1 to 6. So let's find out who's sitting at that #1 spot. And it's going to be the North Carolina Tar Heels, Coach Mac Brown and Sam Howell. Their last season together, they were able to accomplish an undefeated season in a Power 5 conference with a conference championship. Not only a conference championship, but how they won it by absolutely blowing out Clemson. It makes sense. All right, who is our #2 team in this year's playoff? And the Oklahoma Sooners are going to be the #2 team in this year's playoff after winning that SEC championship against Florida in a very convincing fashion. They got the win over Bama this season. Again, we kind of figured these 2 teams would be in this year's playoff. Now is where it gets a little dicey, and the real debate and conversation is to be had. All right, let's find out who's #3. Wow, the Arizona State Sun Devils coming in at #3. I do believe this is our first 2-loss team in the playoffs. How they finished the season with their superstar at quarterback, you have to believe it's a huge reason why they made it in by getting that Pac-12 championship in a very, very convincing way. The committee putting this much emphasis on conference championships, it kind of makes you think. All right, who is the #4 team in this year's playoff? Wow, it's gonna be Maryland coming in at that number 4 seed. Such a dynamic, explosive offense with Tagovailoa, with wins over Ohio State, Michigan at the end of the season, and absolutely destroying Nebraska in the Big Ten championship. Must have been enough in the committee's eyes to jump 5 and 6. Let's see who that is. Crimson Tide at number 5 means, yep, there we go. Clemson is at number 6. This was the change this season when the committee made more emphasis on winning your conference. Not only winning your conference, but Maryland ended up with 5 top 25 wins, and 3 of those were top 10 wins. Arizona State absolutely blew out a top 10 Utah team. And then when you factor in these conference championships, you could see why that would give them a boost. Clemson dropped all the way to 6 after getting embarrassed in their title game. This is absolutely wild. So, ladies and gentlemen, with our college football playoff semifinals, we have Oklahoma versus Arizona State. That's going to be played at the Rose Bowl. And then we have North Carolina and Maryland. That's going to be played down in the Orange Bowl. There's going to be elite superstars on both sides of the ball, really every one of these games. I'm excited for this playoff because it's going to be different. A little bit different than your normal playoff with the normal teams, thanks to these other teams winning their conference championships. I'm excited to get these games started. We'll have these uploaded very soon for you. If you guys liked this video, if you did, make sure you hit that sub button and join this college football community. Thank you so much for joining us on this college football playoff selection show, and I'll catch you guys later.